All right, guys, today we're going to be learning Lesson 3, Chapter 3, Lesson 3, Two-Digit Dividends. You can find this lesson on page 169 in your book. Before we start this lesson, I just want to go over an acronym with you that you might remember from 4th grade. I don't know. Different teachers use different acronyms, but one that I think is kind of funny, but most likely that students will remember is does McDonald's sell burgers raw? Kind of gross, but you won't forget it, I promise. And what this acronym stands for is divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, and either repeat or bring up the remainder. So it's just helping us remember the process of division. So every time my students start this unit, I tell them at the top of your page, every new page, or every time you're going to start a problem on your whiteboard, write these letters at the top to help you remember what to do. Does McDonald's sell burgers raw? Just like that. And you'll remember the process. That'll help you out. Gross. I know, gross. Okay. The dividend is the number that is being divided. The divisor tells you how many groups. Okay, so it's just teaching us terminology about division problems. So if I'm looking at this problem right here, and we draw like a house like this, the number in the house is called the dividend. And the number outside of the house is called the divisor. And I don't know if this will be helpful to you, but my students usually, I tell them to remember it by like the number in the house is usually going to be a longer number, a bigger number, and dividend is a longer word. So in the house is the dividend, usually your bigger number. Divisors on the outside of the house, smaller word, smaller number. So it might just help you remember. And the answer, which will go at the top here, answer to a division problem is called the quotient. That's the answer to a division problem. All right. Eli donates his toys to 5 different charities. He has a total of 75 toys to donate. Eli donates the same number of toys to each charity. How many toys does each charity receive? Let T for toys, represent the number of toys each charity receives. So we know our problem is going to look like 75 divided by 5. Okay, so it's taking us step by step here. First, we're going to divide the tens, then we're going to multiply, then we're going to bring down DMSB, and then we are going to repeat the process by dividing the ones, multiplying, and subtracting. So this is what that looks like. We ask ourselves, I'm going to do this on a fresh, clean page. We ask ourselves, how many times can 5 go into 7? And this is the D part of it. So we start off by dividing 7 divided by 5. How many times can 5 go into 7? Well, let's think about our multiplication facts up here. 5 times 1 equals 5. 5 times 2 equals 10. Okay, so we can't go over. We can't put more than 7. So 5 times 2 is way too much. So we have to stick with 5 times 1. So 5 times 1 equals 5. Okay, next step. So that was multiplying. 5 times 1, we multiplied. The next step is to subtract. So we multiplied 5 times 1 equals 5, and now we subtract. 7 take away 5 is 2. Okay, next we have B. B means bring down. So then we go over here and we bring down this next digit, 5. And now we have we have to repeat the process. And now we have a new division problem. 5, how many times does 5 go into 25? If you know your multiplication facts, you know that 5 goes into 25 perfectly. 5 times 5 equals 25. So here we go, we multiply 5 times 5, whatever I put on the house, I'm going to multiply. 5 times 5 equals 25. Next step, subtract. 25 take away 25 is 0. If I have a 0 down here and I have nothing left to bring down, then that's my quotient. 15, I'm done. 15 is my quotient. Sometimes you'll get a difference here. So when you're subtracting, you might get a difference and a number besides 0 will happen and you won't have anything left to bring down. And that will be your remainder. We're going to go over that today too. But for this problem right here, we don't have a remainder and we can see that 5 goes into 75 15 times. And if you look at this process, 5 times 15 should give us 75. Let's try that over here. This is how we're going to check our work. 5 times 15 or 15 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 down, carry the 2. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 2 is 7. It checks out. When I multiply my quotient by my divisor, I get my dividend, and that means I did this correctly. So 75 divided by 5 is 15. Each charity receives 15 toys. Alrighty, let's try a new problem. We're going to talk about the remainder over here. I'm going to do this one in the book because it kind of has boxes for me to fill in. A remainder is the number or part left after you divide. Use R to represent the remainder. Caleb is putting his baseball cards in an album. He has 57 cards and can put 4 cards on each page. So circling my important numbers here. How many full pages will Caleb have? Will there be any cards left? Okay, so we know this is a division problem. 57 divided by 4. Let me write down my steps at the top so I remember to go in order and make sure I don't skip any of these steps. If I skip a step, I'm not going to get the right answer. Does McDonald's sell a burgers roll? Or what it really means is divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, and either repeat or put your remainder up top. First step is to divide. Okay, how many times can 4 go into 5 without going over? Only once. 1 times 4 equals 4. So we divided and we multiplied at this point, and now we're ready to subtract. 5 minus 4 equals 1. Okay, time to bring down. 7. How many times, now we repeat back to the top, divide. How many times can 4 go into 17? Okay, let me think about my multiplication facts. 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 3 is 12, 4 times 4 is 16, and I think that's as close as I'm going to get without going over 17. So 4 times 4, multiplying, is 16. Next, subtract. 17 take away 16 is 1. I have nothing left to bring down, which means this is my remainder of 1. So there will be 14 full pages and 1 card will be left over. Let's look at the guided practice here. We're going to do guided practice 1 and 2, but I would like to do them on a separate sheet of paper. I just like lots of space to keep my numbers organized. Okay, guided practice 1 says 65 divided by 5. And you might be like, Mrs. Armstrong, you read that backwards. Actually, no. When we read division problems, we always read the dividend first. I'm going to write my acronym at the top Does McDonald's sell burgers raw, which really means divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down and repeat or remainder. And I'm going to get started. Let me divide. 5 goes into 6 how many times? Easy peasy, right? Only once. 5 times 1 equals 5. I can't go any closer without going over. So I divided, I multiplied. Next, I'm going to subtract. 6 take away 5 is 1. Next step, B. B means bring down. Next step, repeat. Go back to the D. Divide. 5 goes into 15. How many times? Exactly 3 times. You're right. Now we're going to M for multiply again. 3 times 5 equals 15. Then we're going to S, subtract. We have a 0, which means we have no remainder. We have an even quotient of 13. Okay, and then the next problem, number 2, guided practice, page 170. We have 45 divided by 3. Let's write our acronym at the top. Does McDonald's sell burgers raw really means divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, and repeat or remainder. Okay, 3 goes into 4. First step, D for divide. 3 goes into 4. How many times? Just once without going over. Multiply. 1 times 3 is 3. Subtract. 4 take away 3 is 1. Bring down. Repeat. Divide. 3 goes into 15. How many times? 5 exactly. 3 times. Multiply. 3 times 5 is 15. Subtract. 0. No remainder. Our quotient is 15. Okay, friends, please try on your own today the independent practice problems on page 171 and that top one right there, number 15 on 172. If you're feeling like you really want a challenge because you think division is super duper cool and fun, please work on Brain Builders 16 and 17. Don't forget to fill out that Google form for me so I can see how you're doing with it. If you need any extra help, we do live sessions every day from 9:15 to 10 and 2:20 to 3:20. Good luck, guys.